MSc Finance, Islamic Finance Program, and the Director for Durham Center for Islamic Economics and Finance. And he is also the Editor-in-Chief of the American Journal of Islamic and Society, Islamic Economics and Society, and the Review of Islamic Economics. Professor Mehmet.
Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. I'm going to present from here because I got very excited and I have a long presentation rather than flicking around. I understand that I have only 15 minutes.
Yes.
So I thought from here I can manage better, and therefore we are trying to do that inshallah. It is... Okay, you can hear me now? Yeah. Okay, it is better. Okay, assalamu alaikum to everyone. It is, of course, an exciting topic looking into education issues. One way or another, most of us have involved in education in Islamic economics and finance.
Gerak kiri kanan je. Nak ke kiri kanan kau jangan tekan ni lah. Ni atas bawah.
Okay, education. Alhamdulillah, now all over the world we have programs in Islamic finance mostly. Hardly there are programs in Islamic economics. On the one hand, of course, it provides us an opportunity space to look into what academia is contributing to the realization of Islamic economy. On the other, or economics. On the other hand, looking into the Islamic finance and finance-related studies and research and teaching. I have certain concerns, therefore I wanted to bring those concerns into the table here. One of the issues, of course, is what we have achieved so far. In other words, disruptions that we were hoping to bring about, whether through education as well as the practice of Islamic finance. Unfortunately, that is not happening. So the whole objective, therefore, is to look into that disruption. As I put on the title, also Al-Shariati's term, I came to disturb. That disturbance, of course, is not a negative meaning, but it make a difference. It will make a difference in terms of the existing structures that do not work and produce the outcomes that we were expecting. So therefore, I think since it went to the safe system, I'll go to the front. No, I don't. But there was that idea here. So the whole idea is trying to look into. As the critical discourse is a particular concern that I have in the programs that we are developing, or we have developed, or we are teaching, as well as the research that we have. My main concern is around the theoretization of the practice, rather than establishing certain theoretical forms and locating the practice within those forms. So pragmatism, as we were discussing, have become the main strategy around our work, and it doesn't help us to constitute something. And I use this video, to be honest. I didn't put the link here, but this is from Malcolm X movie. Malcolm X in prison, and Nation of Islam guys approach him because they find him is a very clever guy. And they take him to the library, as you can see here. They want to show him that how socially constructed understanding shapes also the behavior. So they go to the library, they open the section of white in the dictionary. Anything and everything that is good in life is white. Then they show him the black. Anything and everything that is bad in life is black. So the social constructivism. and that affects the behavior as a result. And therefore, if we are to continue theorize the practice of Islamic finance, unfortunately, our behavioral norm will be shaped with that as well. Rather than constituting a theoretical framework and within which, as a benchmark model, we can locate the practice, and that theoretical model, of course, Islamic economics, or I call Islamic political economy and moral economy. Unless we do that, unfortunately, we are like a hamster running around. Of course, as we discussed previously, there are certain positions that I observe in our research, teaching, discussions about Islamic economics and finance. The realism, as we discussed, or the formalists, we have to catch up. On the one hand, everyone wants to be Muslim and practicing Muslim in every aspect of life, but everyone wants to replicate Dubai. No, these are inconsistent. It doesn't work. Okay, that Calvinism, unfortunately, will not work. On the one hand, you want to stick to the norms. On the other hand, producing a Dubai in other parts of the world would not be possible. So that realism that we want to catch up with the rest of the world, perhaps that's something that we have to be really concerned with because it hasn't produced. The more realism that we have taken up on board, the further we went from the value system, and then we complain that the value system gone. Technology is amazing, of course, but I wanted to come early in the earlier session. The Ottoman modernism, we started around technology and importation of technology. Okay, so the Islamists were saying that yes, we are happy with technology, but we will bring technology, but not the culture and the values with it. No. The moment you have the washing machine, the labor division will change immediately in the society by definition. So technology comes with its own value system, regardless of what you have. I'm not suggesting that we should avoid technology, but we have to be aware of the fact that that technology comes particularly with its own value system. The historical school and the behavioralist schools, I would consider that this, with the failure, what I call the social failure of Islamic banking, historical school and the behavioral school became very dominant. Of course, realist school in the Muslim world by definition has been dominant. So what it has become, behavioralists will say that as long as we are Muslim practicing, we can deal with the economic and the financial matters. Because we are Muslims in other spheres, and we can deal with the economy as it is in the economic sphere. Historical school in particular, of course, in Malaysia, with all these references to Waqf and Zakat, because they failed. And that's a very interesting position. All these studies emerged in the last 5 years on Zakat and Waqf. A lot of repetition, of course. It's a recognition that Islamic banking failed. And therefore, we are trying to find an exit strategy. What is that exit strategy? As Zakat and Waqf. And unfortunately, what we have done on top of that, we are not innocent in that either. We called it Islamic social finance and financialized it. There is only one Islamic social finance, that's Qard al-Hasan. Zakat and Waqf is not as Islamic social finance. It is Islamic social welfare institution. Even we have been terribly undermining the concept as well. And then the essentialist school, which I consider myself belonging as well among others, is to identify a theoretical formulation of how society can be organized and how economy can be therefore embedded within that structure. Of course, it's a terribly difficult position. So with that, of course, what will happen to research and teaching that we have around us? As I mentioned, my main concern, one, is a very descriptive and dogmatic understanding of Islamic finance is being taught in the classes, and that's a huge concern. Some years ago, one of the business school dean in the UK invited me for a discussion. He wanted, what is Islamic finance? Apparently he had a staff and he asked that staff who was teaching Islamic finance, he said, look, riba is haram in Quran. But I said, yes, it could be, but then go to theology school, why in business school? So we had a discussion there, and I tried to explain him the whole political economy and the moral economy, then he could buy that idea. So going to class just saying that riba is haram, no, that's not enough. The rationalization of that, the whole political economy of that, whole moral economy of that, that's an important part. We have been saying that yes, riba is prohibited because justice. But what's the meaning of that justice? What it relates? It relates to the whole definition of what capital is. Okay, you are defining capital. You are saying that this time value of money that Professor Tariqullah would remember in the IRT journal as well as the King Abdulaziz's journal, time value of money, just a replication of monetary economics description. No, riba is nothing to do with that. So therefore, we have to go beyond these established structures around us and look into how we can develop the critical mind. Even if we are happy with the Islamic finance as it is around us, unfortunately we shouldn't be, but even if we are happy, we have to be concerned that the development of this industry even requires critical minds. Okay? Because they have to, in order for the Islamic finance industry, even in its own form, the current form, they need to be innovative. And in order to be innovative, you need to have the critical minds. Okay? So, but beyond that, I don't consider Islamic banking this end of history story. Because most of us, unfortunately, in Islamic finance circles, we think that this is the end of history. Allah created Islamic banks, that's it. Okay? Fukuyama type of understanding. No, this is not the end of history, because Islam doesn't promise an end result. It is a becoming process. We have to work into how different types of institutionalization can be possible, but also what kind of solutions that we can produce. And therefore, this end result mythology that we have in relation to Islamic finance. In the good old days, when I used to say that in the Quran there is no economic system, a lot of Muslims used to curse me. That how come Islamic economics is Islamic? But it's not in the Quran. You bring the principles together, you can easily produce an Islamic socialism as well. But that's the whole idea. Islam cannot be shaped into a particular definition. It's a becoming process. It's an evolving. So Islamic banking is not the end of history. And therefore, it is important for us to develop the critical minds for the future of our societies and to consider this future economy, whatever that future economy is, how we can constitute that rather than borrowing it again. Sustainable development goals emerged because Islamic finance lost entire story, luckily SDGs came up. So now all of us writing and discussing SDGs and all that. But where is our agenda? What is our discourse? That has not come. Why? Because the critical mindset is not there, unfortunately. And therefore, curriculum, teaching and research, that relationship is important. Research, therefore, has to shape the nature of our teaching. But of course, I wish I had time to discuss the slides, but I don't have time. Our research is the same problem. It suffers from the innovative and critical nature of knowledge. So when I look at hundreds of papers published on zakat and waqf in the last 5 years, just the replications of each other. There isn't anything different there. And most of those papers refers to this Turkish colleague who said that you can born into waqf, you can get educated in the waqf, and you can get married in the waqf, you can get a job in the waqf, and you retire, and then when you die, even you're buried by waqf. And then this romanticization of waqf, that waqf didn't work. Because this guy just enjoyed his life in the waqf. The whole idea was to empower this person to go out, constitute life. And even to that extent that we cannot locate everyone using that quotation, but for what? Again, the critical thinking is missing that if that's the waqf, I don't want that waqf. Because that waqf failed the people as well, could not empower people. And therefore, this research-led, we have to, of course, take care of the research, and that's a huge problem that we have. And the research-led, research-oriented, research-based, and research-informed teaching. Okay? How that is possible, that requires, of course, a lot of effort. And that, unfortunately, in our circles, that effort is not there. we are always, unfortunately, after easy solutions, and with the KPI now, the Minister of Education requires in Malaysia, everyone has to publish those papers wherever it is, as long as we have paper, and unfortunately that doesn't help either. So this KPI idea, perhaps, it was a good idea, but the outcome, unfortunately, sometimes you see 5 pages paper with the usual description of what zakat or waqf is, but 10 authors attached to that. Now that doesn't work either. Okay, so therefore our teaching remains very descriptive, and it is not contributing to the practice, and therefore the practitioners are very dismissive of academia at the same time. That whether they can be justified is another issue, but also looking at the content of the research that we are producing as academics, unfortunately it doesn't help them as well. Yes, Islamic banking failed, but we have not been able to show them how the benchmark model could be. Therefore, the importance, my time is already finished apparently, therefore the importance of the research-led, research-oriented, and research-based and research-informed teaching and the curriculum development has to be essential part of the process. Technology is not helping me today anyway. So therefore, the whole finance, Islamic economics and finance teaching and research, what we have around is just the theoretization of the practice and trying to constitute, if there is possible, some theories around that. And developing dynamic research agenda to constitute, because there are search now in this country, there is a search beyond Islamic finance. How we can organize. Why there is a need? Because Islamic finance emerged in this country to help Bhumiputras. What happened to Bhumiputra life? Has not been affected in a positive manner. So because why? Because it's based on capital movement with Islamic metaphors. So it is A selling to B, capital are there, but what happens to those people without capital? Because Bhumiputras didn't have capital, and it seems that still do not have access to capital. So moving the capital, existing capital, and increasing and accumulating that with Islamic metaphors do not solve the problem. That doesn't make it Islamic. What makes it Islamic, what consequences we produce out of that, what empowerment that we generate, what stakeholding model that we get into so that our halal transactions, Sharia compliant transactions, doesn't cause the green problem that Professor Tariqullah has been identifying here, and doesn't undermine people's well-being at the same time. So therefore, from this training-oriented Islamic finance curriculum, we have to move out of that and develop critical and innovative thought leadership, and that we can make a difference in everyday life. There is, and just as I mentioned, my concern is, therefore I wanted to sit there. But the theoretical studies that we have around us are very rare. It's very limited, and everyone has been working on empirical studies, and including myself. There is nothing wrong with empirical studies, but we have to locate empirical studies to certain theoretical formulations as well. Of course, we have to study the past of Islamic finance by using empirical studies, but what we are generating out of that is a question mark that we have to look into. Therefore, the importance of theoretical and conceptual studies for us. And that brings me, of course, the whole idea of this problem that we are facing with the hybrid cultures that we are producing, unfortunately. Just one slide, and I'll finish with that, okay? That was my concern. I got very excited. Yeah, therefore, that gets me to, because it's very close to my heart, okay, that gets me to institutional logic. Okay, the whole idea that in class we go, and we tell them Islam has the, but what is that distinction? How do we locate that distinction? Okay, just an example. Institutional logic. Islam with a particular ontology and its epistemology. You have a new conference coming up, yeah? Ontology and epistemology. It suggests a particular Islamic, particular institutional logic. What is institutional logic? How your value system, your practices throughout history, has become a social reality and repeated and produced the material realities of that society. In other words, the embeddedness. And therefore, my earlier reference to the social market, whether that social market you are referring is embedded or the market system. Market system is disembedded, but we are talking Islamically an embedded market system, an embedded agency, the individuals who are embedded into the value system of that culture, Islamic value system. And therefore, it comes to this silly question whether 5 is superior to 4, whether 4 is superior to 5, or they are equal. Yes, 4 can be superior. The linear thinking that 5 is always not necessary. When you add, when you attach value on that, when your 5 has riba, when your 5 has environmental problem, your 4 is superior for you because of your value system if it doesn't have riba or environmental problem and etc. Sometimes they can be equal. Sometimes 5 can be something that doesn't have interest or environment, can be better, but the whole idea of that modernist understanding that 5 is always superior is not necessarily the case. And similarly, therefore, whatever you have around you, whether it's a right or privilege, of course, economics tells us that it's a right. No, Islam says that it's a privilege, like other religions. And therefore, your green economy, your sustainable development is important, because if it's a right, and which is with the capitalist market system, you are not going to be able to achieve sustainable development, because the notion is based on right. It's not a privilege understanding. And therefore, if we are to talk about sustainable development, we have to develop the philosophy of that. And hence, therefore, the comparing the institutional logics. One says that individual rational, self-maximizing, unbounded rationality, shareholder. The other says that no, individual bounded rationality. It's not self-maximizing, but socio-tropical individual and individual who considers the interests of other stakeholders. It is not unbounded rationality, but bounded. I'll finish with this one. And it's not shareholder, but stakeholders. So the whole idea is how we can translate that into curriculum, bring it to class to make a difference. And unfortunately, by not going into the institutional logic, by ignoring the ontology and epistemology, if we are to continue to talk about pragmatistically what sustainable development is, no, we are not going to produce sustainable development, because your initial equation has problem with it. What is that initial equation? I'm not finishing with this. I'm not going into any of this. Okay, what is your initial equation, therefore, is this. Okay, so we are not going into the class to teach our students the theory of Islamic political economy. As long as your production function is based on Y is equal to technology, capital, and labor, and capital determines the entire process by getting the alpha, and L gets only 1 minus alpha, or Marxism, value is produced by only labor. But Islam says that no, because value is created by the value theory of Islam suggested the inherent value. What is inherent value? Because Allah created everything, everything has value. And therefore, it is not capitalism's exchange value, Marxism's use value, but inherent value. Everything has value. So when you put them together, therefore, there is a different story. And hence, therefore, it is not the price that determines everything as capitalism, such as which we have incorporated Islamic economics. It's not the prices that determines. It is everything else comes together to determine prices. You see the causality, how it is different. Everything else comes together to determine prices. Why? Because Islam defines permissibility of resources. Who access to what is labor, what is capital, what is land, who owns what, why, how long, and etc. Okay? and then it gives the accessibility to resources to it. And therefore, it is not the process that determines, it is everything else comes together to determine. There are plenty to discuss, but unfortunately, we don't have time. Therefore, at the equation, as you can see, every stakeholder goes into the equation independently with their spec rate, but on top of that, each one of them has a coefficient attached to that, because if they cannot get enough from the production function in order to be able to afford life, Baitul Mal has to provide. So you see a different model, different imagination can be possible. And we have to engage with critical research in order to give justice to the new generation rather than betraying them by theoretizing the experience of Islamic banking and finance. Thank you, and my apologies.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Mehmet. All right, so we now move into the panel discussion part of it. So what I'll do is I'll introduce the speaker, and perhaps the speaker can immediately speak, and then we'll do it that way. I think it may be a bit more smooth. So I think our next speaker can be Professor Aslam, right? He's a professor at our very own Kuliyyah of Economics and Management Sciences, IIUM. He's also the founder and the former director of the Center for Islamic Economics, IIUM, which is a very important part of our research basis and work. He's the co-founder of iGajir as well, an Islamic microfinance program targeting the B40 community. And he was also the president of the ASA, Academic Staff Association. He was also appointed as the investment committee member for AFIN Islamic Funds and PMB Investment Berhad. I think Professor Aslam, if you're ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, yeah.
I'm just trying to figure this out. Stop moving?
Directly.
Down? Down? Now. This one? Okay. All right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much to Mehmet for this presentation. I fully agree that research needs to be part of the output that we are teaching in curriculum. I also agree with the fact that doing just empirical work sometimes will not necessarily take us very far, except to say that the people that we are studying are not following the Islamic norms. If you don't have people who represent the models that you develop, then the only result you will get from empirical studies is that it's not following your models. You will have to make modifications.
So to interrupt, like your regression equation is based on optimization.
That's
okay, efficiency.
Yeah. So I would agree with the need for everybody to be able to bring in this research dimension, but I agree that we have to develop that theoretical base. And I think this is also what was mentioned by earlier speakers, that you cannot have a finance without maybe an economic base that's needed. Okay, so what I'm going to focus on is just to share with you. In the morning, Dr. Rais was mentioning that we need to start with education. But I think looking at what I'm going to present and share with you, we actually need to be a bit more specific. Maybe start with the educators. Yeah, because where is the education reform going to come? Maybe it's not from the educators. So I did this study a few years ago, looking at the curriculum that we had in Malaysian universities in 2019 or 2018, and tried to compare between curriculum requirement with the educators that we had who were teaching. All right? So, and then I may also talk about the need for new domains or areas to be included in our curriculum today because of the changes that have happened in the last maybe 10, 15 years. Yeah, so I'm going to share with you, MIFA is the Malaysian Islamic Finance Education Report. I was involved in the first two. MIFA was done by the International Council for Islamic Finance Educators, ICF. Prof. Azmi, in his other hat, is the current president of ICF. And then there was a MIFA Atlas in 2021, which was a bit more covering all higher education institutions. And then specifically to look at Islamic finance education, if there is a misallocation between curriculum and the academic talent that we have, and then some of the lessons to be learned. Okay, in 2018, the one that I was involved with, we looked at 20 mainly public universities in Malaysia. 95 programs were offered in Malaysian universities in this 20, at undergraduate, graduate, and PhD levels. 81 in public universities, mainly in Islamic finance. Most were standalone programs. So I think we were just talking about this outside. Most were standalone programs. It was a bachelor in Islamic finance or a master's in Islamic finance or Islamic economics. And mainly in banking and Islamic banking finance. This is the case in 2018. But I think in 2021 report, they said that there was a clear shift towards Islamic finance. So it's not so much banking maybe, a move to finance. And that's an interesting thing. And then for our study in 2018, we looked at the curriculum of Islamic finance. And why is it Islamic finance, not Islamic economics? Because the project was, as mentioned by Prof. Azmi, the attention was given to Islamic finance. So under Islamic finance, we identified 5 domains that you need to have in any Islamic finance program. What are these 5 domains? Banking and finance, economics, management and marketing, Sharia and law, and then accounting and governance. So this is the 5 areas that you should have in your curriculum. And you may add quantitative subjects, ICT, and so on. But we looked at these 5 domains. Overall, the graduates were well received in the market. There were some maybe comments which I will share with you soon. So interpersonal skills and personal grooming are the most important qualities that employers look for. And I think this is in a study recently done by Talent Corp together with researchers from ISIS Malaysia. By ISIS here we mean the International Strategic Institute for Strategic and International Studies. They did a study to show that today, besides content of education, people are looking at skill sets, and hybrid skill sets. So a little bit of change in what are being given focus by industry players. Public universities at that time produced better quality IIF graduates compared to private universities. Maybe now things have slightly moved towards some private universities also doing very, very well. Okay, what are the issues? We have this discussion of Islamic finance education that has to offer programs that have a balance between modern knowledge and Islamic heritage or Torah. This can be a totally separate lecture on the whole issue of integration of knowledge, where we want to have this integration between these 2 inputs. So curriculum must be an integrated curriculum. I think this is already a challenge. Most curriculum is not integrated, it's just addition. Right? I think, was it maybe Tariqullah was mentioning, right? We just keep adding components, but there is no real integration in the curriculum. Standalone programs, is it still the way forward? Or should we be now having different modes of offering it? Yeah? Maybe modules, or now micro-credentials are becoming important. What are the important domains? In our 2018 study, we identified these 5 domains. But maybe today, there could be 6, there could be 7, there could be 8 domains, which should be part of our curriculum. What is the knowledge and skills needed for Islamic economics and finance graduates? Are our human resource qualified to teach? And that's actually my focus. We start with education if we want to do the reforms. but I think we need to start with educators. Really, we need to relook at who we have in our universities who are teaching in Islamic economics, Islamic finance programs. What are their backgrounds? When I joined IIUM, long time ago, I was told I need to have Bachelor Economics, Master's Economics, PhD also Economics. Although I wanted to move out of economics after the first degree, I wanted to go to another area. But this was told to me by the then dean, no. You're in economics, you need to have economics. All right? I managed to get out of it in the PhD by doing development studies, so that was my way of getting out of it. But the point is, what is that knowledge base that our lecturers have when they are teaching in programs in Islamic economics? If you have a degree that has a nomenclature, Islamic banking and finance, these are the 5 domains as I mentioned to you in our 2018 ICT study. Banking, finance, economics, management, marketing, accounting and governance, Sharia and law. We had a 6th domain, ICT and quantitative component, so it could be a 6th, but these are the 5. If you had a nomenclature of degree that said banking and finance, Islamic banking finance, what is the percentage of the curriculum that you would expect, right? You would think that majority should be banking finance. And then all the other 4 would be 10 to 15%. So that would be how you would develop your curriculum. Right? Now we could add the ICT and quantitative part, and we could add many more. I would argue we need to add many more or other domains in today's new environment. But this is what should be about. Now, who are our academics who are teaching in Islamic banking and finance programs? Out of the 400 or so that we looked at in 20 universities, that's the breakdown. Okay? Instead of there being more banking and finance lecturers, they were severely underrepresented. The actual figure of 17%, I will explain to you why. Initially it looked like 28, but in reality it was actually 17%. We had an overdose of Sharia and law people teaching in Islamic banking and finance programs, whether it's bachelor or master's. So the degree is called banking finance, but you have an overrepresentation of lecturers in the Sharia. Okay, so this 2021 study looked at all universities, but I didn't see this comparison of curriculum and academics. So we need to do this to figure out whether that trend was still there. By 2021, they had slight changes in the characteristics. For example, private universities were having 50% of the programs compared to previously almost all public. And then they've added halal management. I'm not too sure how that fits in, but I'm assuming it's part of the halal industry thing. But I would have just put it under management rather than a separate domain. Okay, some findings very quickly, Riasat. Our curriculum in 2018 overdosed with fiqh. I remember our pioneers of Islamic economics, Moderator Siddiqui, Anazarta, when they came and saw our program in economics, they both commented, why do you have so many fiqh and usul fiqh courses? You're not creating fuqaha. You're creating economics, banking, finance graduates. Employers have made comments about lack of banking and finance knowledge of IBM graduates, and I think we need to take this seriously. I think Prof. Azmi mentioned this earlier. They have to have core competencies in the area if the degree is called banking and finance. I think it is still a challenge. We have too much focus maybe on the Sharia, and I welcome the comment of Dr. Saeed earlier that I think we need to work together. We need integrated curriculum. I don't think we have done. We have additions added. We need new domains. Moving away from the standalone programs. Are our academics qualified? I think there is a long way to go. Okay, let me just give you something that's positive. 2/3 of the academics that we studied are younger staff. how do we resolve the problem that we have? Set them to do different areas of study. So if somebody's got a first degree economics, maybe masters do something else. If somebody's got a first degree of finance, maybe at the master's level do something else. Yeah? That could be one way. We need to maybe utilize universities now. Yeah, many in Indonesia, we should send students to study in Indonesia, send students to study in Turkey, maybe stop sending so many to Mehmet, to Durham. Yeah? And I'm just saying we have now many universities that we can utilize. and we can learn from each other, because I think the experience that we get from the different countries is something that we can learn from. And finally, share resources. I say this in every function I attend. Why do we not have joint programs? Why do we not share our resources? We have such a big demand for banking finance, Islamic banking finance, and yet we are just playing a zero-sum game. Right? One university will export all their lecturers to another university. That university benefits, this university loses. Right? Zero-sum game. So we should be sharing our resources so that we can develop a better curriculum as well as have talent. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Professor Aslam. Our next speaker will be Professor Tariqullah Khan. So while he's reading his slides, I'll quickly go through his thing. Professor Dr. Tariqullah Khan is a professor at INCEIF. Before joining INCEIF, he worked with leading institutions such as the Islamic Development Bank, the Qatar Foundation, Stanford University, Harvard University, Istanbul Zaim University, and Venture Ethica. He was the president of the International Association for Islamic Economics and received the Excellence in Performance Award from the IDB in 2007 and ISDB Prize in Islamic Economics and Finance in 2022. Without further ado,
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everybody, my colleagues and my students and the scholars here. Thank you very much for your presentations, Dr. Mohammad and Professor Aslam. And let me say in the beginning, I agree more with Mohammad and less with you.
This must be an IDB prize winner. For me, I have started my career and my bread with Islamic finance, definitely. There should not be any doubt about that. But as Professor Asmi mentioned, what's the purpose? This purpose, of course, we have been teaching and making it big, loud arguments that is the elimination of riba. But what is the purpose of elimination of riba? Correct? That's where I agree with Professor Mohammad. That elimination of riba is an instrument, it's not a process. The purpose, the objective has to be something different. So, therefore, I don't agree with you, Professor Aslam. We have to put a purpose in front of the curriculum and university education. So that's my second. That's the keyword. The purpose is now at this stage of our human civilization, economics and management. The purpose is a human transition from the existing system to a better system. That's why I raised the question of the green technology in the morning. If you introduce a lot of EVs, which is very good for the environment, but what will happen to the social system? Many existing facilities will be closed, a lot of new risks will be created, and a lot of more challenges of competition and capturing markets will come up. So, so it's not only the technology which is important, the preferences, the regulations are drastically changing. So are we really developing our students, our leadership to take that challenge of the rapid transformation
which has to take place, and it's taking place right now. So what is the transformation? What is the goal of the transformation? This one is very easy to understand. You remember we have the Human Development Index, which is all about multidimensional development, human development, and then we have the ecological footprint. This is a new idea, ecological footprint, maybe 5-6 years idea. So you can see here the developed countries have very good HDI, but at a very high ecological footprint, which is not possible. So the purpose is to transform the economies within the one Earth capacity, but with high HDI. That's what actually the preferences are, the technologies are, and the regulation are. So it is shaking up everything. So our leadership, which we have to create through our programs, have to address that. That's the purpose, the focus of the purpose. So I try to understand it for the last how many years, I don't know. What we have now, what Prof. Mehmet has said, disembedded economy. The economy and the society and the ecology. This is a business as usual mentality, which also known as linear and also known as open loop. Open loop in the sense that it doesn't care about waste. So the economy is everything, and the profit maximization is everything. And some good people came in that they thought that this is not working. So they gave the idea of the ESG. But still it is in the same, the profit maximization. You will be surprised to see that most of the empirical work during COVID-19 show that ESG companies made more profit. In COVID-19, people needed not profits, they needed social solidarity. They needed other things, the other part of the ESG, they needed ESG, but they were making profit. So the ESG is also actually in the same thing. And then we have the idea of the circular economy. You can see the diagrams are very different here. Let me click here because there are some words which are not known to you. The ESG, the circular economy basically is, in the center is the ecological concern, and then you have to address it with R, which they call it the era of R. R is the different R's there. Refuse, rethink, reuse, and so many R's. So the whole paradigm mentality has to be different. It has to be, and then there is the era of D. D is the design. We should produce things for durability and for reuse. So the whole system, industrialization philosophy, is going to change. So, but what we can add to it is the Islamic value premises, the maqasid, and the other, here in my diagram, M is the maqasid, and you know, in the center is the maqasid, so the system becomes much more applicable in the Muslim societies as well as all over the world. But we don't teach it to our students this holistic perspective. We only focus on the first part of it, the linear economy. We have to create leadership which can see all these things in one picture and then have a value-added contribution to it. So actually, I have been thinking about how to make it more mathematically acceptable, okay? So basically, the rubrics, I reduce them to two rubrics. One is the social system, and the other is the natural systems. Of course, profitability, financial sustainability is a constraint. We know in economics there is a constraint maximization. And governance is an instrument within the system. So those four pictures which I showed to you become a part of an integrated fund approach. Okay? So like for example, the first one, here there is a very high negative social externalities, inequalities, poverty and everything, and also at the same time is degrading the environment. That's the first, in the picture, the first one. And the other one is some improvement in the social, but with a baggage of the same environmental issue. Most of the economists and our paradigm, economics, management, and finance, is there in the third one, where everything is negative. And this ESG is in the upper, where the environment is negative, but some improvement in the society is taking place because of the stakeholder integration. When we put the data in there is very good data. Actually, I have put them there. Malaysia, for example, Singapore and Qatar will be in that part, where there is a lot of improvement on the HDI, but there is a problem with the environmental system. But the ideal is the last one, where the Y is positive as well as the X is positive. Okay? So this should be, in my understanding, our professors, our students, I'm not saying take this one and teach it, I'm saying have a holistic viewpoint, so that the leadership which you will create will have a holistic perspective. Nothing is perfect, okay? Nothing is perfect, but there is something improvement in understanding. We can have some improvement in understanding. So what is happening is that I was talking to Professor Mehmet. He was the first one to bring out the ecology and environment as the sixth dimension of the Maqasid, which is, I think, the prize should have been given to him for that particular reason, which is very much needed. And then we have the ESGs, SDGs, and VBI, which is, VBI is fantastic actually strategy. But unfortunately, I'm so surprised that the professors are against it. I don't know for what reason. They don't teach it. The students are not asked to write a thesis on the VBI, how to implement it, what's the role of universities in doing this good thing. So it should be part of your actually curriculum. The issue of, you're talking about the dimensions in your modules or whatever, sustainability should be on the top of it, if you want to revise that. So, so we have to create a leadership, a new leadership, holistic leadership, which looks at sustainability and long-term vision. It's not only about cash maximization. It's about the future. We have to have a better future for everybody, for our children, grandchildren. That should be the vision. It's not only about money. System thinking. It's not one small part. It's the whole system together. Yesterday I saw some workshop or some symposium which is going on. I like the theme, art science. You know, art science it looks very strange, but it is what actually we need. We have to use the scientific way and with the artistic humanity working together. That type of leadership we need, ethical leadership, and this is there. So he's telling me that please stop, please shut up. And there's a good advice. My counselor will also tell me like that. Thank you. Then I will take 30 seconds. There's a part here which is we need undergraduate program. Trust me, believe me, really I am 100% sincere that you need more undergraduates in sustainability studies than in economics and finance. Okay? Trust me, you need more MBAs in sustainability management than in Islamic finance. Integrate the Islamic ideas into it and do it like that. This is the word is need for that. Then there is the required foundation courses, probably you can introduce in your programs. this, and then there is the what I cannot read it. I cannot read it, whatever it is. But the emphasis is what Professor Aslam was saying. We professors need to be changed. We are the hurdles of any transition of good leadership. We have to change. And
So you agree with me?
I agree with you, but I want to emphasize that the way you are doing will not work. You have to force the professors to read the report which is available now. Today there is a report on something which is relevant, and you are teaching the students 60 years old textbooks. Come on, man! Get up, man! Okay, anyway, this is about only the gentlemen, not the ladies. Okay.
Right, thank you very much, Professor Tariqullah. Our next speaker is Ms. Hawati Abdul Hamid, who is the Deputy Director of Research, Khazanah Research Institute, KRI. She works on socio-economic issues such as inequality, inclusivity, social mobility, and social protection. Prior to joining KRI, she worked at the Securities Commission Malaysia and the National News Agency Malaysia Bernama. So when you're ready.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for IIUM and the organizer to invite KRI. I feel so honored to be here, but at the same time quite overwhelmed, being the only female panel today, while at the same time I'm also not an Islamic economy scholar. So perhaps that reflects the gender gap that we are observing in these fields of economics generally, but as well as Islamic economics. But anyway, I feel very happy to see there's a lot of discussion in terms of philosophy of education, teaching, and curriculum. But perhaps what I'll be doing here today is really to shift a bit of our perspective. Instead of talking about education per se, but I'll be talking about the outcome of education. So I'm going to organize my presentation, my short presentation, into 3 themes. Firstly, I'll be taking a bit of a step back to see really what is happening among our skilled talent in Malaysia. So this is quite a local perspective, essentially, because at KRI we focus a lot on Malaysian study. Secondly, we'll be talking. I'll also touch a bit in terms of the demand side, the job creation parts, what is happening, and the challenges that Malaysia is facing. And then the thirdly, we'll look a bit on the global outlook, but I know there's a lot of discussion has happened this morning. And finally, I will conclude in terms of what does it mean in terms of policy for education and labour market policy. Okay, so I am going to share the one study that we published recently called Shifting Tides, that really looks in terms of what has happened to labour market, particularly among our skilled talent, tertiary educated workforce in the last 1 decade. Just a bit about this report. We basically use quite a rich data from the Ministry of Higher Education, where we got about 2.5 million records of fresh graduates. This is a survey that has been conducted by the Ministry of Higher Education at the point of graduation of our graduates. So we have all graduates information across a lot of dimensions, especially in terms of where they are studying, IPTA, IPTS, TVET, non-TVET, diploma, degree, and so on. But for this presentation today, I basically have take a snapshot just to suit the audience, where I have taken the perspective of just analyzing and sharing with you the insights among our economic, finance, banking, investment graduates, and I only select those who are in degree studies. So first we take a bit of a critical look or critical analysis on graduate employability rate. This is actually a KPI put by the Ministry of Education upon our university in terms of what would be key performance indicator that they have to strive. So if you look at graduate employability rate, we have seen that the rate have been increasing over the last 1 decade from about 71% to about 84%. But if you look among economic finance, it is a bit lower. But if you can see on the chart on the right side, you can see why it is a bit lower, because the component or the formulation of the graduate employability rate itself, where it includes not only those graduates who are working, but as well those who are waiting for placement, upskilling, reskilling, and further study. And you can see here among economic and finance, the unemployment rate is a bit higher at 20% compared to the overall rate. But this is largely because of the fact that they are still looking for work instead of compared to others in other fields that who are also part of them. Some of them are doing reskilling and furthering study. But for us, this graduate employability rate itself is quite problematic in terms of really trying to understand what is really happening among our graduates in terms of employment. So we also look in terms of the types or quality of job that graduates are taking on after graduation, and we see that a lot of them, among those who are working, only about less than half are having full-time employment. The rest are actually have to resort to contract or part-time workers, or even do self-employment types of jobs. And in terms of sector, we know that Malaysia are heavily concentrated in terms of services sector, but here I think something positive coming from the economic and finance graduates, where a slightly higher share of them are working in modern services. This is actually a reflection of where they are working in banking sector, retails and stuff like that, who typically would result in better pay and better decent work. Okay, next. And then we also look in terms of what types of jobs fresh graduate landed in, and we see here that only about half of them, 60% of them, are able to land into graduate jobs. We call this graduate job, whereby they secure a job that is.
One slide back.
Okay, one slide back.
Yeah, this one.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm talking. I would like to bring our attention on the types of job, whether they're having graduate jobs or not, and only 60% basically have a match job the qualification match with the level of job they have. The rest of them have to resort to semi-skilled jobs, and even so, we know for a fact that pay is also already a problem in Malaysia, and you can see here, fresh graduates who have degree, about half of them are still earning income of 2,000 and below. So when we talk about pay, this is really beyond education itself. I believe it's also tied to the issue of our economic structure, the types of jobs being created, and so on and so forth. So having said that, we was wondering whether that is just the case among our fresh graduate alone, or it is beyond than that. Because just to let you know, the GTS data survey being conducted by MOHE are only collected when about 6 months after graduates have left the university. So we conducted a small survey to really see what has happened to them over time. So we do a cohort study to just analyze a student or graduate who have been 5 years down the road and 10 years down the road. And then we see quite a positive achievement there, whereby the prevalence of overqualification and even salary have improved. But the fact that is that one thing that we uncover is that even with years of experience, those who started wrong, meaning that those probably who landed in a job that is quite not matched with what they are studied, about quarter of them will retain in that path. So, and then those who started with a lower salary, about quarter of them still retain in low salary band. So we believe that active labor market policy that would help graduate transition from education to work is also important here. I think that's why a lot more emphasis need to be done in terms of job matching, reskilling and upskilling to help our talent, because we have invested a lot on this talent, and then it will be quite sad if they cannot really unleash their true potential because of the constraint that they face in the labor market. So next, I just want to bring our attention. Just now I was talking about the supply side. Now I would like to talk about the demand side in terms of the structure of economy and what is happening in terms of job creation. I have to say that in most of our development plan, we have this job creation target, and in most of the plans we achieve that target. But the question is really in terms of what kind of job being created, and you can see here in the last 5-6 years ago, the creation of high-skilled job has been shrinking a lot, from about half to about 30% only, and this is also reflected in terms of the absolute number of jobs being created. And you can see that a lot of the skilled jobs being created are in the services, but at least in the services we see a bit of a balance in terms of the modern and traditional services being created that would typically provide a bit more opportunity for our talent to bid for these types of jobs. In other sectors, industrial and agriculture, for example, high-skilled job creation has been declining. And then, okay, let me just quickly go back in terms of in terms of the vacancy, so because I just want to highlight what is happening between job creation and vacancy. Okay, so vacancy, you can see here, for the services sector, the vacancy is increasing. What it means, while for the other two sectors it is a bit flat or declining, what is happening is that services sector is having problem to actually find the skill that match with the profile of job that they want. But for industrial and agriculture, on the other hand, they are having problem to find talent in the semi-skilled jobs, and that's why this mismatch needs to be really looked into in terms of how we can actually improve the matching for services and other sector. Next, I just want to highlight in terms of major drivers or trends that is shifting our labor market, especially those are related to technology, green transition, even demographic shift, because if you are aware, Malaysia is really an aging nation. In 20 years down the road, will be aged nation, and then there will be a lot more types of job that require a lot more things like care work, social works, and healthcare work that needs to really take place that to meet the demand. Okay, and then having said that, while there be a lot of disruption happening in the labor market, I believe that university is one of the platforms that really try to maneuver these changes. But at the same time, I believe that university would provide this foundational knowledge and breadth of knowledge and skills, but we also need a small micro-credential skill to really address the specific technical gaps that our labor market are facing in terms of managing this transition. So yeah, this is just about really looking at what has we've been producing in the ecosystem of higher education Malaysia, but then what is really needed is really in terms of science, technology, and stuff like that. So by having said that, I think yes, skill trading is one area that we need to improve, but I think it also have to come with other element of active labor market policy, such as job matching, work experience programs, and even passive labor market like job unemployment support and job allowance. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Hawati. Our next speaker is none other than Dr. Sutan Emir Hidayat, who is the Director of Islamic Economy Infrastructure Ecosystem at the National Committee for Islamic Economy and Finance, KNEKS, Indonesia. He is also an Associate Editor for Journal of Economic Cooperation and Development, CESTRIC, Scopus Index. Due to his contribution to the Islamic economy, he was recognized as one of the top influential 500 personalities on a global scale from 2015 to 2020 by ISFIN, a leading advisory firm for Islam. Without any delay, it's okay. Without any delay, Dr. Sutan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Rais. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for having me here. So because I have been given only 10 minutes and then there's also stopwatch here, so I'll go straight to the point. I'm going to talk about some experience that we have been doing in Indonesia. As you know that Indonesia was, not in the top 10 of the Islamic finance, and then we sent many students here to Malaysia, also to Professor Mehmet campus. So now, and also the development of the Islamic economy and finance in Indonesia is based on a master plan. And in fact, the master plan is also help assisted by Professor Asmi. So everyone here is related, right? Okay. So Alhamdulillah, with the master plan, the euphoria is there. The government is more committed. The people are more committed also to develop Islamic economy. And the result, Alhamdulillah, now that's my slide. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, Alhamdulillah. So. And nowadays, if you talk about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, Indonesia was not listed in the top 5 of all ranking publishers in the global stage. But now, let's say in 2023, none of the global ranking publishers place Indonesia outside number 3. So Alhamdulillah, now Indonesia is in the top 3 of all rankings. So if one publisher publishes only Indonesia is in the top 3, maybe we will question. But if everyone put Indonesia in the top 3, so Alhamdulillah, it means something. But of course, even though next slide, please. Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. PDF. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So you can see that. Yeah. In the State of the Global Islamic Economy Report number 3, and in Global Muslim Travel Index number 1, even together with with Malaysia. Global Islamic Finance Report number 3, and on IFDI, Islamic Finance Development Indicator number 3. But particularly here, I want to highlight also about knowledge, in which the knowledge is the highest score for Indonesia. But of course, there is a challenge, and also in the Global Islamic FinTech Report. Sorry. Next slide. 1 second. Yeah. Oops. Go back. Yeah. So look here. Based on the IFDI, particularly on the knowledge and awareness indicators, for example, top countries by number of Islamic finance research produce Indonesia, and then top countries by Islamic finance course providers also Indonesia. I will tell you after this how many in total. Top countries by Islamic finance degree providers also Indonesia, and then top countries by number of Islamic finance journal. Also Indonesia. Top countries by number of Islamic finance seminars, yes, not Indonesia, but number 4. Yeah? Top countries by number of Islamic finance conference, also Indonesia. So euphoria is there. That's why now less number of students coming here. Yeah. However, yeah, there are still challenges in actually human resource development in Indonesia. Number one, this is not the exact figure because it's all number. 90% of the people who are working in the industry, they still don't have the normal or formal educational background in Islamic economics and finance. And on the contrary, the industry itself prefer to hire somebody who are already inside the industry and give them little knowledge about Islamic economics. Yeah. And while the education in Indonesia is still now driven by supply, yeah, many universities are in euphoria opening Islamic economics and finance program with 15 nomenclature. You are talking about 5 here, right? In Indonesia, 15 nomenclatures. Yeah. But in the future, we want to change them from supply-driven into demand-driven. And every year, those universities produce around 40,000 graduates. Where are they going? Where are they going to be absorbed? Yeah. Next. Oh, sorry. This is the number of. This is only undergraduate programs. I'm not talking about postgraduate. 938 programs, Islamic economics and finance related programs, academic programs in Indonesia. 15 nomenclatures. Yeah, if you are talking about, yeah, there is Islamic economics, there is Islamic economic and finance program, Islamic banking program, management of Islamic banking and finance, management of Islamic business. So many, 15. Even zakat and wakaf, it's a program, academic programs, management of zakat and wakaf. Even Hajj and Umrah. Yeah. So 938 only undergraduate programs. If you total with the postgraduate and vocational, 1,000 more than 1,000 academic programs. But unfortunately, from 938 total undergraduate, only 15 of them have excellence accreditation. Some of them got SSB also, like INCEIF, so not only INCEIF, got SSB. Okay. UI, University of Indonesia, they got also, yeah, CSB. Yeah. Some of them also got FIBA. Yeah. But the majority, they don't have excellence accreditation.
Excellence, you mean this kind of?
Yeah, there are either international accreditation or there is accreditation offered in Indonesia scholar member. Yeah, and then they create classification. The highest one is called unggul. Unggul in bahasa Indonesia, which is
even your local.
Local, yeah, local and international. Yeah. Next. So now, together with the stakeholders, the National Committee, the KNEKS, we are trying to harmonize these 15 nomenclatures, and we have done the research, and we are proposing maybe I should inform also in Indonesia there are 2 ministries that handle the education. There is Ministry of Education, Research and Technology. Another one is Ministry of Religious Affairs. Yeah. So the 15 nomenclature, most of them are in Ministry of Religious Affairs. So we, together with the Association of the Faculty of Islamic Economics and Business, we came out with the study and suggesting to reduce the number of this nomenclature from 15 to 5 only. And then we are now in the process convincing the Ministry of Religious Affairs to accept this, but there are resistance. You know, why do they need many academic programs? Because to uplift their level. Because universities in Indonesia, there is university college, and then institute, and then the highest one, university. So they need more academic programs in order to be upgraded. So that's why they are resistant in closing the programs. In order to solve those issues, we also came out with a roadmap for talent development, Islamic economy and finance, not only about curriculum, also education and literacy strategies, mapping from the from the early age, yeah, from kindergarten, yeah, or even playground until you reach your retirement period. And also in Indonesia, because it's too short, yeah, there is also new curriculum in Indonesia is called independent study, Merdeka Belajar we call it. Yeah. So in which the students have the option for actually total 3 semesters. Yeah. 1 must be inside the university. 2 can be outside the universities. You can replace your whole semester, yeah, with like programs. For example, you can go for social projects, yeah, community involvement projects. You can go for to villages, let's say, or you can do entrepreneurship project, or you can do, let's say, internship program, or you can do exchange programs. So what we have done, we prepare the minimum standardization of the curriculum, yeah, because this is also the mandate of the master plan, which is assisted by Professor Azmi. Indonesia must have minimum standardization. So Alhamdulillah, we agreed with the pillows and also the 10 core courses and the syllabus for these 10 core courses plus the textbooks. And also we created the guidance for the students who want to do the Merdeka Belajar or independent study. Either they want to go to the social projects, there is guidance for that. Internship, there is guidance for that. Yeah, and also for the entrepreneurship project. And also certification. This is very important. We all the time we monitor certification in the Islamic financial sector, in the Islamic. Although maybe you don't agree, Prof. Mehmet, but I'm still using this, yeah. Islamic social finance sector, yeah. And then also certification in the halal industry, yeah. Because with the mandatory act of halal assurance products in Indonesia, there is a need to have certification for several roles, yeah, like for example Syariah auditor, Syariah supervisor, as well as butcher, yeah, so Syariah compliant butcher. That's it from me. Yeah, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Sutan. Let's move on to the discussion. How much time do we have? Well, since we have very limited time, instead of going for an intense panel-on-panel discussion, maybe I think I'll open it to the floor right away. I think I can see Prof. Zuljastri's hand up, so perhaps you can go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure whether I'm making a comment or question or something like this. But I'm actually extending what Madam Hawati mentioned just now. And in addition to that, I'm quoting what the Human Resource Ministry has mentioned in the paper. There's a need for green employees. Right? They want skills. We need to train students who have knowledge, for example, regarding sustainable energy, things like that, smart city, solar, and so on. The question is now whether our curriculum can begin to meet this, because this is something which is going forward. And not only the human resource, the job market out there, we also have a Ministry for Natural Resources, which has demand for this kind of thing. And they already remarked that, there is a need for this kind of graduates for upscaling and also rescaling, like Prof. Tariq mentioned just now. So the other one I would just like to connect, for example, like subject like circular economy, for example. Is it be taught or not? Since that seems to be the starting point of all this. Thank you. Nobody can answer my question.
And then perhaps yeah, I think the question.
Okay, thank you. For the question and comments, I think if you look at in terms of the global trend, there's a clear pattern that this technology, green transition and digital technology, are really disrupting the labor market and the world economic forum. I know some of you do not really agree to what they are saying, but they have projected that about about 89 million jobs will be lost, will be displaced, and 69 million jobs will be created. But the problem is that those who are being displaced and created are requiring different skill set. As you mentioned rightly just now, the needs for green, sustainability, digital technology, AI and stuff like that, the demand are really increasing, but yet we are no near the skill, meeting the skill and speed of these demands. But we know for a fact also the disruption also happening by the automation itself, whereby a lot of jobs like used to be manual, such as auto teller, secretarial job, clerical are being displaced. And in order to really help this workforce to really transition from one skill set and the other, I think upskilling and reskilling are really important. As I mentioned, that just now we have created a very established institution like university that really build the foundational knowledge and breadth of knowledge with all these interpersonal skill set that is required, but really about meeting the gap and meeting the challenges of disruption that really we need to blend all these our approach to in terms of micro credential to really really embrace the long life learning, I suppose, so that people with these rapid technological changes, our workforce would be able to navigate the challenges.
Thank you. I think your comment is also very much in line with what Prof. Tariqullah was saying about focusing on sustainability, right? So reskilling, and then what Prof. Aslam was saying about, sharing of resources and the right people teaching the right things, and then even I think what the whole idea of making the demand and supply work together. So even what KNEKS is doing, I think, like playing multiple roles of defining a student, I think these are all relevant to that in the future. And I think what we must be doing is developing the curriculum along these lines, like coming together in this roundtable and focusing on, creating narratives from each side, like a more stakeholder involvement. Because I can see like nuggets coming out from each point, and rather than going against each other like Prof. Tariqullah was suggesting, I actually saw it as more fitting together in a larger way. And so I think we can move towards a moral or political economy accordingly. Yes, Khazanah.
Two comments or questions. One, it's amazing, of course, what's happening in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And the question, how that translates over the performance of the industry. Because still, what, 7%? Yep.
Should I?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Prof, in Indonesia we don't focus on Islamic finance. There is Islamic, economy, and finance. What you are talking is about 7.3% only banking.
Yes.
When you talk about total Islamic financial asset, now already represent around 11%, driven mainly by sukuk, sovereign sukuk. But when it comes to Islamic economy, actually it's a part of the master plan also. We are now creating what we call as GDP Syariah, which is called which measure how big is the contribution of Islamic economic sectors into the total GDP of the country. At the moment, according to BI, Bank Indonesia, Central Bank, around 46% of the Indonesian what we call GDP is contributed by Islamic economic and finance. So it's quite okay since we focus on Islamic economy and finance, not Islamic finance.
But what is the employability rate of those 5,000 students every year graduating? What is the employability rate?
Yeah. So I didn't have now the number of the percentage, but I can see now because I monitor ODP program, officer development programs of many Islamic financial institutions. In the past, mostly who came to the ODP program, they graduated from top universities like UI, ITB, or that's not particularly in Islamic economics program. But I attended some of the ODP programs because they invited me. Alhamdulillah, now when I asked them, from which academic programs are you? Then they said, I graduated from Islamic economics from this university. So starting more Islamic economics and finance program are employed. Yeah. Yeah.
But I just realized that in your 5 specializations, you said you want to reduce from. I don't see Islamic economics there.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes. Number 1.
Because if it was not there, I would say it's okay, just come to IIUM.
By the way, the one who teach there, I graduated from IIUM, INCEIF or Durham.
Alright.
My next one is to Professor Aslam, if you allow me. If there are other persons, just go for
I
it.
think, okay, I think we can just go ahead with this last question.
I'm very much okay with the fact that we assess the requirement of the industry. But at the same time, aren't we going into the danger of allowing ourselves to be drafted by the industry? And that's a huge problem. I mean, like in your case, in Malaysia, I think I couldn't show the data, but your entire Islamic finance is going into organized power. So then, our students, by definition, they have to know organized power because by definition, this has to be conducted. This is a small example I'm giving. Then what happens? We are losing the benchmark model, but allowing ourselves to be grafted directly by the industry, enhance that innovative critical mind set that we want to develop as a leadership. I think we are compromising on that if we go with that.
I agree 100%. So I also agree with Tariqullah. I want to answer this in a slightly different way. I think if you compare the way Malaysia has been moving in the last 5-10 years, many of the things that we were saying 20 years ago now are being incorporated even by industry people. At least they are saying this, whether or not it actually ends up in what they are doing. This is something that maybe Prof knows better of the industry. But at least it's easier for us to sit in programs together with industry people, and we will agree that we want to do this, we want to do that. Whether it's actually being translated into the industry practice, that's maybe something else that I don't think I'm able to comment because I don't get involved with the industry. So maybe Professor who else is in the industry can tell you. But I agree fully. It should not be dictated to us. But at the same time, you need to know how to deal with it.
It will also, I think, come down a large part to what is the role of the academic system, because the education system is also as much to provide well-being in an economic sense as well as, shift ideology and achieve the norms that you want. So I think at least certainly at the beginning there has to be a kind of balance and compromise. If you want to change values, you still need a job to do that. And to do that, you have to be relevant to the job market. So I don't think we can dismiss it in the name of, so I think, again, we come back to the pragmatism and defining the role of the education system and to what extent we can strike the balance between those two, I would say. I think we are really running out of time. We still have a little bit more to go. Perhaps. What? That's what they all say. Okay, all right. Right. Okay, good.
As an individual, what is the purpose? There should be the race first. I'm doing this, what is the purpose?
Right.
I'm teaching Islamic social finance. What is the purpose?
Right.
Purpose is the most important thing.
Correct. True. Right. Thank you very much. So I think I'm going to close the discussion for the second part. Right. You might be able to sneak in your question in the next session after lunch, hopefully. But before we break, we have to conclude this these two sessions about the future economy. I would like to now invite Dr. Nur Suhaida Kasri, who's the Director of Islamic Economy in INCEIF. And she'll be talking, she will call for a proposal for Islamic economics research and innovation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I know that I'm standing between you and lunch, so I'm going to make it extremely short because you'll get all the information in the last slide, inshallah. Okay, first of all, thank you very much for the organizers for slotting us this very, very short slot, yeah, to make very important announcement. I am from INCEIF Uni, so we are here to announce this call for proposals for this Islamic Economic Research and Innovation Fund. Sorry, it's not moving. Okay, I think everybody, last year during the budget 2024, the Prime Minister Malaysia and the Minister of Finance, Anwar Ibrahim, has announced a fund of 20 million. So the whole purpose of the fund is to actually spur research as well as creativity and innovation in Islamic economy. So this task has been assigned to INCEIF in collaboration with MIC and the industry. So the objective of this IRIF, the short name is IRIF, is to basically to spur research as well as creativity and innovation Islamic economy Malaysia that are aligned with the aspiration of the economy Madani, and is also to produce practical and innovative solutions to address the emerging socio-economic issues through values and impacts that are in line with the objective of Syariah, Maqasid Syariah and the type framework, and finally to produce a balanced distribution of wealth, eradicate poverty, foster collaboration and encourage sustainable development. So I hope that this fund is an opportunity for everybody to try to come up with some solution, more actionable, impactful solution for the country. And inshallah, I believe with everybody, intellectuals in this hall as well as outside, and we strongly urge for collaborations with industry and stakeholders. So because this fund is very much Malaysia-centric, so it is very important for the research proposals to be aligned with the national aspiration agenda as well as the supporting national strategies and policy. I will not read the details of this. This is very important. We have identified 3 focus research clusters, which we put it under 3 main themes: Islamic economy and sustainability, shared prosperity, innovation and advancement of knowledge. So you can see there are little sub-areas there. We have finance, green economy, halal economy, circular economy, sustainable, inclusivity, entrepreneurship, digital economy. So these are the areas that we will highly recommend for proposals to be put in. I need a professor to advise me that. All right, thank you, Prof. Okay, these are our proposed criteria in assessing our potential research projects. Okay, you must show there's economic impact, there's commercial, social impact, environment, policy. Okay, right. I think that's it. You can see the last page. Okay, this is the most important page for today. Please scan this scan thing. Okay, and then the deadline is from 2 months from today, so 26 July 2024. And please visit our website. Thank you very much. All the best to you all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. By the way, we have leave some pamphlets is for you guys. In anyone who would like to have a copy of this, please help yourself with that. Yeah, thank you very much, and please spread this word around so that we can get more and more solutions for Malaysia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you very much. So on that note, in search of solutions, we have a way to address that. Alhamdulillah. So now what we're going to do is we'll close the session, but we will move in a bit more organized manner because the lifts are a bit of an issue. So first of all, I insist that the panel speakers and our VIPs accompany who will accompany our committee members, and after they leave, our non-IIUM delegates will
Boleh ikut. Start dah. 1, 2, 3.